Sorry.
You're good for now.
If I don't
Tell me your name one more time. It's Lenny, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I forgot.
I thought so, but I was like, this is good. I set it up perfectly for any Laverne and Shirley jokes. Okay. Hey, guys. I'm hiding behind the thing here. Welcome to OnSet. I'm Daniel Norton. This is Dave. Seth's over on the mighty mixer with Paul helping out today. Today we're talking about having lights in my way because we weren't ready. So. Yeah, I do have coffee with actual cream in it, no more of that soy milk. So I made that mistake. That's not happening again. So if you guys don't know, I come in on Thursdays. It used to be every Thursday. Sometimes now it's kind of every other Thursday. We'll see. And do some lessons here. Today we're going to talk about lighting specifically. People always, when you're getting into lighting, right, you want to think about what you want the person to look like, right? This is kind of the key. It seems really like vague for me to say that because people are like, well, what should I do? And I'm like, well, what do you want it to look like, right? But at some point you need some place to start. So I put this together to kind of give you guys kind of a starting point that will get you through if you need to light a portrait and you don't have the time or the facility or maybe the creativity or whatever, maybe you gotta do a lot of different people in that moment to do something different, right? This is gonna be your kind of place to start. So, what's that? No, I got a cord, I'm good.
Okay, well, this is yours then.
Yeah, that's fine, thank you. Last minute, Hasselblad gave me a camera due, so we're struggling here, but we got it. So we're going to set up what I think are kind of the three main styles that I would use in a portrait. If you're in this situation where you've got to make a portrait, maybe you got to do a lot of different people, so you can't be changing it a lot. Or again, it's not something that needs to be super creative. It's just a basic thing. I got to do a headshot of somebody I want or whatever. So these are going to be good for that. So there's a lot of different terms that people use when they're talking about lighting. So if you, especially old people, but me being young, I don't use those terms. So, but you'll hear people say like broad lighting, short lighting, whatever kind of lighting. This thing. I don't worry about that, right? That's all fine anyway you're teaching. But the reality is this: you either want to light somebody symmetrically, like evenly, right, or asymmetrically with some shadow. So those are going to be our two major ways that we're going to work, and then we're going to come in with a little bit more of like a moody style at the end, just because you always do something fun at the end, right? So, all right, I guess we're going to start. So, like I said, I've got Lenny. Lenny. So Lenny's here to be our portrait subject. Do you like to sit or stand?
Either or.
Okay, then you can stand. You'll be here.
You're saying welcome back, Dave.
Welcome back, Dave. Yes. So we're going to start asymmetrically. So asymmetric, if you don't know what that means, it means that not balanced, right? Symmetrically is balanced, asymmetrically is unbalanced. So if I'm going to light somebody asymmetrically, that is from one side, the lighting shaper that I like to use for that almost always is an octagon-shaped softbox, right? The octagon softbox is going to give you kind of like a better surface to kind of wrap out in front of your subject so you can use a reflector to fill in. Because you certainly could, and we will do that, we'll show some variation, you could leave the shadow side dark for more mood, right? These are all going to be basic techniques, again, that you can manipulate, but we're going to go for like a nice, even, clean portrait to start with. So I like to use an octagon. I always say, because people ask me all the time about it, if you're only going to light with one light, that's what I usually choose, because it gives you a lot of surface area to kind of move around, right? For like, this is a 3-foot octagon. If you took a 2-foot by 3-foot rectangle, you wouldn't have quite as much of that wraparound feel. So again, we're gonna go with this. I am using, like I said, the Hasselblad X1D today, so we're gonna be tethered into Focus, which is Hasselblad software. I just did an entire demo on Tuesday, 2 days ago, about tethering. So if you don't know about tethering, you wanna learn about that, go to Adorama TV, and you can watch that. We don't cover Focus then because I wasn't using Hasselblad, but we do Lightroom and we do Capture One, so you guys can see that. So anyways, we've got our light. We're going to put it to one side. What we're going to do is we're going to place our light to the side of our model, but forward to her, because we're lighting her face, right? This is our first light. It's going to be our key light, as they say, and we're going to basically give an even light across her face. We want our light source to be either the center of it, on level with our subject, or better, slightly higher than their eyes. The reason for that is if we're going to put shadow on somebody's face, we usually want that shadow to go either to the side for some things, but mostly kind of downish, because that's how light normally is, right? It feels correct because when we're walking around, the lights are generally above us wherever we go. So you want to think about having your light slightly above the person, and you want to put it to, one side, basically like that. You can come forward a little bit. We're going to use a light meter. If I could borrow that again, sorry. There's a lot of different ways to set up your light. Hopefully we're going to use a light meter. Coffee break.
You might have to get it from.
Okay. Questions so far? No, pretty simple, right? All right, so if you don't have a light meter, what we're going to do is, and this is not what you wanted, this is the reason to have a light meter right now, and I'm going to show you because I'm going to do it without a light meter. So we don't have a light meter. There's a little bag right here. Oh, there it is. Got it. The first thing that we have is we've got,
Got it.
okay, perfect. We need to set our exposure. Thank you, Seth. We need to set our exposure in the room so that none of the light in the space is going to affect our shot, right? The reason why we're going to do that is because we don't want these lights lighting our subject. We're lighting, right? We want control. Lighting is all about control. So we want to remove this light from our scenario, and flash gives you the power to do that very easily, right? If you were using, let's say, an LED panel or a tungsten light, you would have to use a tremendous amount of light in order to overcome all of this light in here. Better would be to say, hey, turn the lights off, right? You can always, but you can't always do that, right? So flash is going to allow us to get rid of this light. So first we're going to set our camera at its lowest normal ISO, which is 100. We're going to set our shutter speed at its synchronization speed, which is usually around 250 for most cameras. This camera can actually sync faster, but we'll do that for most people. So you could actually set that before you leave your house. You're going to be shooting at that, 100 ISO, 250. Okay, the next number, your aperture, you need to figure out how closed down you need to be in order to get rid of the light in the space, and that really depends on where you are. If you're somewhere that's very dark, it doesn't need to be much at all. If you're somewhere that's very bright, it's going to have to be more closed down. Since I'm making a portrait, I usually like to be around f8 anyways, and since I've been here a bunch and I know that that's enough, we're going to just go there. You can also use the meter in your camera and look for it, thank you, look for it underexposed, look at the meter in your camera and move it till it's underexposed. Does everybody know your camera has a light meter in it? People know that, right? I sometimes say that and people seem surprised. I'm going to be on a tripod because I like to be on a tripod. You don't have to be. Cool. All right. There she is. And Jim has it set so that you can't see through the camera. Oh, there it is. All right, good. They literally just came to me, this camera. All right. And I'm not going to complain. All right, is the light turned off? It is, right? Oh, I don't have a thing on top. I don't have anything on top of my camera. I'm going to take a shot. Again, I'm tethered, so my shot is going to appear over here in focus, which we can see. It looks beautiful. I call this one black on black, right? Being tethered is really nice because, sure, I can look at the back of the camera and see it's black, but here I'm looking at the raw file, so I can actually go into my file and grab my slider, just like I could in Photoshop or whatever, and pull it over and see when I start seeing any detail. And man, I'm not seeing any detail. Even, yeah, see her right there? There she is, right? You barely see her coming up, and that's 2 stops pulling up. So that means that if I screwed up, let's say, and I needed to add a little bit of exposure later in post, I still have some room to move without getting the ambient light in my shot. So that's good. 2 steps under is nice. Now we're going to set our flash. So I've got my flash meter. I'm at 100 ISO. I'm at 2/50th of a second. I program that stuff in. I press the button. Thank you. This has a little testy on it. Boom. 8.4. So my light meter is telling me the light's set at 8.4. Do not be tempted to change your camera. Change the light. Once you're set up, you don't want to change any settings on your camera. So I'm going to turn my light down. I'm assuming it's in A. The reason why I'm using this light meter versus the light meter in the camera is the light meter in the camera cannot meter flash. It is strictly an ambient light meter. So you can use the meter in your camera to get the initial exposure for the room, the black exposure, but you can't use it for the flash. All right. So there we go. We're f8. I'm pointing this is the great debate in the world, and today I'm going to do it the Gavin Hoey way, and I'm pointing the light meter at the light, right? That was a big debate. Some people pointed it at the subject. It makes a difference, but not that much. So do what you like, kids. All right. So now I'm going to put the little control on top of the camera. Now when I fire my camera, the flash is going to fire. Assuming that I did everything right, we're going to get a picture. Let's see. All right, I see you in there. There you are. Let's see. Good, good, good. And good. All right, we make a photo, and there she is, right? Why is it punched in so much? There must be a punch in on my thing, because it shouldn't be punched in, or a crop, perhaps.
Yeah. It's an adjust, right? No, not. Oh.
Yeah, there's a huge crop on that. You thought I was going to be that close. Oh, that's not how you do it. Okay? So basically, I had a crop on there. When you're tethered, right, you can set things up like a crop on your image, and then that crop will carry over into future images. So let's say, for instance, you want to do like a square photo or something. This light is a Profoto B1X. All three lights I'm going to use are Profoto B1Xs. They match. The camera is the Hasselblad X1D. The lens is 90 millimeters. Thank you. All right. I got it all right. I never get it all right, so that's actually pretty good. I usually have to look. All right. So now we've got asymmetrical lighting, right? We've got light coming from the side, giving shape to the face. Generally speaking, and I say this a lot, so I'll say it again. I just repeat myself until you guys believe me. I don't like to shoot women with this type of lighting. I don't like shadows on women's faces. It's not considered conventionally beautiful for women. If you like it, and she's strong, and she's athletic, and you want that, have at it. It's not, you can't not do it, but generally speaking, I use symmetrical light on women, and we'll show that after. But this is a little shadowy. I think I want to at least fill it in a bit, right? Because my shadow's a bit dark. I don't want to, remember that all the noise.
Can you explain your thoughts on lighting different for different skin tones?
Okay, lighting different for different skin tones. I'll talk about that for a second. Can we bust out the reflector while we're doing it? So basically, if you are, let's just set up the Brooklyn reflector. So if you are, so there's this concept, right, about lighting for different skin tones. So that we could do an entire thing on this, but I'll kind of go over it briefly. If you're, as far as exposure is concerned, it doesn't change. I'm metering how much light is falling on her, and if I meter it correctly, then she will be exposed to how she looks, right? She will look correct to her. She won't look lighter, she won't look darker, she'll look correct. So assuming you want people to look the way they look, you don't change anything there. However, there is this idea that like different skin color does have different amounts of contrast. So depending on how contrasty or how oily somebody's face is, you may want to use larger light sources, because remember, any highlights on your subject are reflections of the light source. So if you want to create like shape on the face with a tone, you want to use large sources, because that will then create a reflection. If you use a small source, you're going to get these little sparkly, right? We want a sweeping source. So larger sources will do that, and where you put them makes a difference as well. Then makeup, you know, all that kind of matters. But as far as exposure goes, I mean, if I were to set up the light correctly and switch every person in this place here and make a photo, in theory, they should all look the way they look. And you know, I believe personally that people should be happy with the way they look. So I try to shoot people the way they look, not lighter or darker. Although I am very light. So we're going to use the mini Brooklyn, I guess. All right. So I'm going to just bring a reflector. Oh, we got a large Brooklyn. All right, good. This is like the Queens or something. Okay, come on. This is just a piece of cardboard. They're made.
Staten Island.
Yeah, Staten Island.
Staten Island would be soggy and wet.
These are made in Brooklyn, handmade by Seth.
You want to go vertical with it?
Yeah, we'll go vertical. We'll put it on a stand and everything. I'll just do it quickly. So all I'm going to do is, remember what I said about the light being bigger this way in the wraparound? We have all this extra light that's going past her. I'm going to use the reflector to bounce it back in, right? So I'm going to come in here.
White or silver?
Let's go white, yeah. Yeah. And we're going to bounce that in, and that will help fill in our shadows, right? Just like that. Now we've got nice even light, even though it's directional, right? We have some direction to it, so we still have shadow, but it's filled in. You see the difference there? Shadowy, not shadowy. Let's do something quickly, though, that I always forget to do until the end, and we should just do it whenever I'm doing these demos, is let's get a color. Oh, you got it. Okay. Okay, white balance is another key here, right, when it comes down to whatever you're doing. You want to make sure your white balance is good. We could set our white balance at flash because we're using flash. That's probably the best way to do it if you don't have one of these. But if you've got $39 or whatever it costs and a bag of chips, you can get one of these. This is a PhotoVision digital target. It is silver on one side. You can fold it up like a magic trick. But what this does is it's completely neutral, right? It's neutral, and it's also white, gray, and black. So there's two things you can do with it. This ties into that not having a light meter thing that I almost did. If you didn't have a light meter, you could photograph this and look at your histogram. And if you don't know what histograms are, I don't really use them that much, so don't worry about that. But basically, you can use this to get proper exposure. If you just photograph Lenny and look at your histogram, it's harder to do because it's just different. So that's how I feel about histograms. Get one of these if you want to use them. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Hold that in front of your grill, please. All right, so we're going to photograph this, right, with all our light in place. Okay. There it is. Beautiful. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to grab my dropper and I'm going to set my color balance. We see how we just reduced a little bit of light there, a little bit of color. You see how it shifted? Now we're locked in. We're going to basically, we'll be good to go. So now we know we have proper color. Good. That's two lights, right? So now I guess it's two lights, right? Because the reflectors are light. That's okay, right? But it's lacking dimensionality, right? It's easy enough to get a decent shot of somebody with one light. It's like, oh, that looks good. But we want to give this thing some depth. And the way we do that is we're going to use contrast. Contrast with light, a light coming from the back to pull her out of the background, to shape her. And since we're going asymmetrical, we're going to put the light on the opposite side, right? Because we're going to have bright on this side, to counter the shadows. Do you want to throw it up on a stand, or we're going to do it?
Yeah, well, it's already
You
in there. The light or?
Oh, you put that first? Okay, go for it. I'll put the reflector up.
Oh, okay.
Nice. I want to do both. We can hide her.
You want strip, right?
Yeah, we'll do a hair light, yeah. So, I'm going to go flat with it. I know you're going to get mad when I smoosh it. I'm sorry. I'm going to crunch this a little bit. It's fine. Give me another one. Well, give me the white one.
There's a ton of white ones over there.
All right. The silver one's a premium. They're like when you want extra mozzarella on your pizza. Okay. All right, so this is going to fit in here. It's always important to use a $200 stand to hold a $2 piece of paper. All right, $3. All right, I'm going to put that there. All right, so we're going to bring this in. Generally speaking, you want to put your lights as close as possible, right? This is true even for the reflector. The reflector is a light, right? When you're talking about something like three-point lighting, this becomes a light. So remember that. 1, 2, 3. We're already there. We can just retire, right? We can move it. Is it good?
Do you want to go horizontal with it?
Yeah, let's go horizontal. Why not? We're going to go horizontal with it. Any questions so far? Simple enough? Confusing? I did name it. Do you have a question, or were you saluting me? Go for it.
Does it matter how far she is from the background?
Oh, does it matter how far she is from the background? Oh, yeah, it does. What was your question?
Just going back to that synchronization speed.
Yep. Synchronization speed. So every camera that you have will have a maximum speed in which it will sync with the flash. So if you want to know the science behind it, go onto Adorama TV. Mark Wallace has a video with like graphics and everything. But basically what it means is that you can sync a flash, use a flash from that speed or slower. If you go faster, what will happen is the shutter will get caught in the flash, and you'll get like a black line. So I can't show you the wrong way because this camera has super fast sync, so you can't worry about it. But if you had like my Canon I normally use, if I shot at like 750 or something like that, half the frame would just be black. So if you ever have a situation where half your frame is black and using a flash, check your shutter speed. That's probably what it is. Probably one of the most common things that people mess up when they're first starting because they're down there. What is the sync speed of your camera? You got to look it up. They're usually around 200, 250. It depends on the camera. A 30th if you're in a Pentax Express 7.
6, 7, if you're running it.
Okay. All right.
I can just in, but
Is in the shot?
yeah.
No, I can move the camera too. I'm shooting horizontally because I feel like it. Let's see. It's in a bit, yeah. Yeah. It's out now. Okay. So this is in the B group, right? All right. It's in the B group. We're going to use a meter and set it up. No, do it. How you feeling?
Great.
She's feeling it. She's like, I'm feeling it. Ready? 11. Does anybody have 11? No. All right, we're going to turn it down. We want to get roughly f8 to start with. Once we're there, we'll see how it looks, and we'll make judgment based on many different factors. Okay, here we go. We're going to take a shot. This is now, again, everything. What's the camera set at? f8, right? Yep, because we haven't changed that. Good. All right, perfect. Now I get the second light. Oh, we get a little flare going on there. It's a little hot, I think. What's that? I mean, what? It's not actually flare. It's actually just in the background, I think.
I think the box is open.
Yeah, the box is open in the background. So again, this is now that thing, right? We've got a highlight on her face, kind of like having the shadow on the face. It isn't necessarily what you always want, but for some things it works. It's a little bit hot, I think, if we're going to leave it there, and I do kind of like it, so I'm probably going to leave it there. But maybe we'll dial it down a bit. We've got detail, so it's fine, right? But I am curious.
I'm sorry,
Because
that was the F8,
F8 and be there.
and that's what caused the light?
I'm going to take this out for a second.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm just going to pull this for a second. F8 is the light, where the light set, where the camera's set at. The camera is set at F8. I'm taking this out just because I want to show you something. Okay, so we took out the reflector, and now we've got this like combo thing going on, right? We've got the shadow back and the contrast. That might be good for some things, but can you see how it kind of is really dramatically changing the way her face looks? Versus this. You can still see that even in the case of the with the separation light, it still makes a huge difference, right? To have that reflector in there. So I'm gonna bring it back. So go to Brooklyn. Seth will get one of these for you. All right. Oh. All right. Let's. Did we dial it down? And maybe feather it a little bit too.
Yeah,
Let's dial in feather. So we're going to feather the light, meaning moving it off a little bit, so it kind of has a little bit of a different angle of incident.
It looks like a CEO headshot.
What?
It looks like a CEO headshot.
Like a CEO headshot. I shoot a lot of CEOs. Dave has feathered it off. He's also lowered the power of the light a little bit. Lenny is the CEO of her own company. All right. Bam, right? Now she's happy. I told her she got promoted, right? So now we've got, right, we turned down the power a bit, we feathered it. See how nice the skin tone is now? Turn it out a little bit, change the angle of incident, right? We want to, it's all about angle plus power, so we create the highlight that we want, right?
How far back would you pull back to get a full body? Do you drop down to waist height to get full body?
Okay, if I was shooting a full length shot, how far back would I stand is the question. I'd stand far enough back that I would get her whole body in the shot. And generally, if you're shooting somebody standing, I put the camera around waist height. Is the other question. Yes, sir.
So what is lighting is set up? Why don't you get flare on your lens?
Why don't I get flare?
This is just going right up the lens. Right?
Well, you would think that, right? So I'm not getting lens flare because it's actually not pointed at the lens. Plus, it's not a point source. It's a soft source, and the lens is really good, and I have a lens hood. Lots of reasons. Actually, the funny thing is with some lenses, with some modern lenses, it's actually hard to make them flare. Yeah. I have some lenses I cannot flare for the life of me. Yeah. So, yeah. But that's the reason why. If you want to make a flare, but if you wanted that, what you would want is you'd want to use a smaller source. Like you'd want to use not the softbox. It would be better for that. Okay, so it's nice and even, but still it's a little bit flat, right? We're losing a little bit of dimension because I like to light my background because we all know that the more light you use, the more you get paid. So we bust out the third light. So for this, I think I don't know, should we just do like a wash of light? What do we have on that one? Is there anything on there? It's just a bare head? Oh, we have that little softbox. Let's put a grid on it, maybe.
On the softbox or?
No, on the. I don't want to light the background with that. It seems like a waste. You don't want to use a nice softbox to light the background. It's like, what a waste. Yeah, that's not true. You can light it with whatever you want. But I think for this, because we're creating contrast, I want to throw like maybe a grid on the back, and there should be a grid right in my bag, in this bag. Yeah. So I'm putting on the grid kit. So what a grid does is it narrows the spread of light. So we're going to create like kind of a circle of light. Not exactly a circle of light, but a little bit of a circle of light. Not the circle of life. That's from The Lion King. Yeah, you knew that. Was that from The Lion King?
Yes. I'm unaware.
Seth only knows cool things, and apparently that wasn't cool.
Lion King is cool. He's just like 5.
It's currently on Broadway. Going with 30?
I'm gonna go with the 20 degree.
All right, Dave's putting a 20-degree grid on there. So when you get grids, right, a grid is going to come in different. Actually, let me show a grid. Do you have an extra? Thanks. So your grid is going to come, right? Does that look cool or is it doing nothing? Yeah, it's doing, yeah. See, you can see. Well, I don't know if you can see it. And then like watch. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So a grid is going to come in different degrees. The light itself has about 120 degree spread. We're reducing it to 20. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, that just happened.
Vanna White rule? What was
I
that?
don't know.
What is that? Jeez. At least do a hair to us.
I have to say, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get off topic, but man, half and half is so much better than soy milk. I'm just saying. I mean, soy milk may be good for some stuff, but not in coffee.
If you like it, you should like anything else.
I was drinking soy milk. It was terrible. Ugh.
Oat milk is the jam.
You know what I did get was coconut milk, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oat milk's better.
But all of them seem like skim milk to me. Like they're all very thin. Do you like soy milk? Are you a soy milk person?
Whole milk.
Yeah. Oat milk. I don't know. Okay, so
What is he using for this?
right, so Dave's putting a grid on the light, the thing I just showed you, and we're going to throw a circle of light on the background to give her some separation and some dimensionality onto the background. You could do a lot of things with your light. Now, there was a question earlier, which wasn't a full enough question because it was just, does it matter how far she stands from the background, right? So you said the correct question there is, why do you have her that from something? So no, I'm just messing with you. So right, we want to separate our subject from the background generally so we can light our background in the way that we want it. If our subject is too close to the background, our foreground lights are going to light the background. I mean, there is some light from the front hitting the background, right? Because if there wasn't, it would be black, because we know that none of the light in the space is affecting the shot. So right now, we've got this kind of like darker gray than you see in life, because only a little bit of light is hitting it. Now we're going to bump in there. Dave's going to throw a little circle of light up at the back. We might even make it blue.
If you're gonna change the background like in Photoshop or something.
I am never going to change the background in Photoshop. Don't ask me that question.
What should was the light, the circle of light?
Well, no, I am not great at Photoshop, so I would not change the background. If I was trying to drop a background into Photoshop, though, I would shoot against a white background. There we go. Touched by an angel. It feels a little high, but I like it.
It's got to go down to the shoulder.
She's so high. Oh, I almost hit that note. But no, I didn't. Not even close. But you know the song I'm doing. Yeah. Okay. Come on now. Yep, exactly, Cup. See, Paul gets my references. This is why I like Paul. We like Paul. All right, here we go. Feeling it? Let's see. Let me do a little test. So I'm doing is I'm firing the light and I'm just looking. No, I think that's pretty good. All right, here we go.
Can you take that out of the equation and see the light?
Oh.
Dave, can you just point to that light because they don't know where
Oh, they don't know where the light is. What do you want to move? Oh, because this thing's blocking it?
she had the
Oh,
she had the target.
all right. You can't have the target. Okay, so it's not completely centered, but I'm okay with it. It feels good. Because why? Why don't we care if it's centered? Because we're doing asymmetrical lighting. All right, so we can make it, what color should we make it? Let's say some contrast. She has nice warm skin. She has that beautiful blonde hair. So we could either match it and go warm and yummy, or we could go cool and pop. What do you think?
There's so much stuff.
Cool? All right, we're gonna move stuff. I'm gonna move this temporarily. All right, Dave's hiding back there. Yeah, we're gonna go cool. We're gonna go cool because that was what the audience wanted. This is like a tealy blue.
They're asking,
How do you avoid getting shadows on the background? Lenny?
No idea.
Okay.
And does the color of her hair change how you would like the background?
Okay, so 2 questions about the background. How do I avoid getting shadows on the background? There will always be a shadow in the opposite direction of the light. There you go. That answered that question. In other words, if you put the light, where's the shadow? It's over there, right? It's not on the background because it's over there. Now, when we go into symmetrical lighting, we put the light in the center, we'll have to deal with that a little bit more. But right now, all her shadows are over there. If we were shooting full length, I suspect we'd probably get a little bit of shadow over here on the ground, so we would just have to adjust our light slightly. That's how you do that. And obviously, the further they are from the background, the easier it is to do that because you don't have the angle. This light obviously is not going to put a shadow on the background. Would I light differently depending on her hair color? You may need or have more need of a separation light if the hair is darker, yes.
Do you use X-ray color checkers?
Do I use the X-ray color checker for product photography and like jobs where it's important for actual color match? But I usually just use the thingy that I just showed you. The digital target. I like it. It's simple. They get to hold it. Is it blue? All right. You didn't change the power, right?
I went up half a step.
All right. So Dave added a little bit of power to the light because now we're putting a gel in front of it, right? The gel is going to absorb some of the light. So we could meter it again, but hey. We've reached the point in the demo where we don't pull the meter out anymore.
Hey, the background's blue.
Oh.
Photoshop.
Look at that. Okay, so, it's actually kind of interesting how you're not sent. Actually, I kind of like that. Maybe even pull it a little more this way so it's kind of offside.
Over here?
Yeah, just a tiny bit. Yeah, there you go. Oh, you know what else we did?
This is asymmetrical lighting, right?
Yeah, I know, but I don't want it. All right, so. There we go. Lenny's happy. There we go, right? Nice even light on her. We have that blue flourish, right, going off, which is a good contrast. And actually, we realized that her shirt was blue too, and we actually framed it up perfectly to just show a little bit of the blue shirt, because that's how I operate. Or I saw it just now and I made it up like I did it on purpose. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Yes?
If I wanted a little bit more shadow on the right, would you move the reflector back, or would you put down the power of the backlight a little bit?
Okay, so if I wanted more shadow, a darker shadow, or yeah, if you wanted a darker shadow, you didn't wanted it filled but not all the way,
Right.
You could just move the reflector back further, right, further from her, because the inverse square law would reflect less light in. Yep, I wouldn't move my key light; I would move the reflector in and out. The closer you put the reflector, the more light you're going to get from it, the more it's going to fill.
Really? I'm sorry.
Wow.
They want to know how it would look like if you took the hair light to light the background instead. Like if instead of the hair light, would you light the background with the hair light? That's not my question. That's not my question.
You know who I'm talking about. So they want to know what would happen if we lit the background with the strip bank.
I guess so.
It would look uneven.
And do you prefer headshots, landscape, or portrait?
Okay, so do we prefer headshots, landscape, or portrait? Every time you make a photo, you need to, at least at some level, think about what it's, oh look. I can like get in the script, you can cut me out. I mean, like go inside you change cameras.
What do you want?
I want it to be like on the, there we go. Zoom in on my head so it gets a white background. So,
You're losing the stream. I don't know what happened. You're losing connection.
How you format, whether you're vertical or horizontal or square or whatever, has to do with the final usage of it. That is what I would say there. If you don't know, then I would shoot both. But I kind of like a horizontal headshot, especially now because people are showing more and more stuff online where it doesn't matter. We were taught you know, when I was young, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
to shoot vertical because you wanted that magazine cover, right? You want that magazine cover. But nobody wants a magazine cover anymore, right? It's all online. So, I mean, it is, but plus they can do a bifold if they really like it. Come on.
How would you like the background for entire full length?
Okay, so how would we light the background if we wanted the background more evenly lit, like a full-length portrait or something? Probably 2 umbrellas. All right, so what did we change? Nothing.
Go for it.
Okay, so,
I don't know. Oh, you added the
well, I just started talking. Okay, yeah, nothing. We're just getting a picture. Okay, so, all right, we got this, right? Let's try with a warm color on the background just to see the difference. And then we'll move to the next one.
Chocolate.
Ooh, chocolate, okay.
Do it.
All right. Questions about this, because we're gonna move on, right? We got light coming from one direction, adding contrast. We got shadow and shape. This type of lighting I would normally use if I want to highlight that. Somebody is maybe an athlete, somebody who's very strong-jawed, that kind of thing. You're gonna want this more kind of asymmetrical lighting. It's gonna work better for them. If you want the more youthful look or more kind of typical kind of beauty look, you're gonna wanna go to this the symmetrical lighting that we're gonna show next. You can, if you want to get real crazy. Let's get real crazy for one. Actually, do that first.
I'm going to like a red.
No, I was going to move the light all the way to the side.
Oh, okay.
We'll do the color first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's just show this one with a warm color because I suspect it might look nice.
How warm?
Chocolate if you got it. You're supposed to put the LED on and go like this when you got your phone up like that. Like, come on now. Come on now. All right. I just want to say that, like, see, you can see right here, like this whole time I'm looking at this every time I look down because there's a treat there for me when I'm done because I didn't have time to eat it before. So.
Do it to yourself. I warned you.
I did do it to myself. Yeah, I know. All right, so we're switching out the color on the background.
I'm going to raise the power a bit.
He's going to raise the power a little bit.
Stop. And I will.
They're asking why 2 umbrellas for full length.
So why would I use 2 umbrellas to light the background for a full-length shot? Partially because I'm cheap. No, the umbrellas are going to give you a really wide throw of light, so they're really good for that. They're going to give you even light. Even is the game when you're trying to make the background. There we go. Ooh, right? Now she's warm. Now we're like got this kind of real like warm like glow to the whole thing, right?
The grid.
That's a grid, yep. Right? Oh, nope, wrong one. Someday, after many years of doing this, I will learn how to use focus for doing stuff. You can add warm or you can add cool, and it basically changes the shot depending on your vibe. Also with the clothing that she wears, you know, each one has its own thing. The blue makes you smile, the warm makes you more serious. All right, let's do really dramatic side lit. So let's kill this, right? So we're gonna kill C, right? So we're gonna do a dramatic side lit shot just because we can. This is not on the menu, but it's a bonus. We usually save the bonuses till the end, but I'm kind of feeling, you know, generous today. So we're going to basically move our box to the side. You can even take a step forward. There we go. That'll make my life easier. And then we're just going to go like that. Yeah. What's that?
Do you like differently for black and white as opposed to color?
Do I like differently for black and white as opposed to color? Yes, I will say. That seems like the right answer to that. Typically, I'm going to want to add more contrast if I'm shooting. I mean, I shoot very contrasty anyways, but using the like universal U, yeah, you would light differently.
With that 2 umbrella thing, do you need 2 umbrellas for just the back?
Right, 2 umbrellas for just the background. If you want to light the background evenly. 4 umbrellas if you want to be a baller.
We did that.
I don't know if that worked.
That we did do that. It goes through this.
We used like 8 V2s on that.
Getting confused.
Yeah, it happens that way.
Two umbrellas,
You don't see any umbrellas. I'm answering a question online.
but this one is facing the back.
This is all soft boxes. They're all soft
There we go. Dramatic. Boom. Right? So now we got some drama for your mama. That's how you say that, right? All right, there we go. So maybe you want something with more drama, right? Maybe you want that. And And that's just simply, it's the same kind of light. All I really did was move it more to the side. And we could even fill this in with the reflector if we want to fill it in a bit. But yeah, let's do the reflector for one shot.
What is the Rembrandt, right?
I don't know about that Rembrandt guy.
Chris Sonk is sniping you.
All right.
Do you recommend strobe or continuous light for beginners?
I always recommend strobe for anybody. All right, I'm reframing slightly. I'm not refraining, I'm reframing. There we go. Added a little reflector to help bring up my shadow area here, but I actually think now that doesn't look good. Because what's happening is, right, the reflector is, I mean, we could obviously adjust the reflector more like this. I'll just do it. There we go. The reflector, it needs to bounce in a way that's going to fill in the shadow the way you want it to. So, boom, there we go. There we go. See the difference there? In the first shot, the reflector wasn't filling into her eye all the way. See the difference there? I know, right? Matters. Angle. Angle of incidence equals angle of reflectance. Stuff like that. All right, let's go. All right, we're going to go to asymmetrical. We're going to go to symmetrical lighting now. So symmetrical lighting is when our light is basically going to be even on our subject. In other words, put the light in the middle, right? This is typically how I light female subjects. I think that it is generally the preferred method for that. But again, that's up to you. I'm going to use a smaller source here. I'm going to use the small softbox. The reason for that is I want a little bit more tight control here, a little bit more contrast, because what I want is to shape the face and make it more narrow. So having a smaller source is going to bring these shadows in, right? It's going to give us control. So we're going to do that now. So Dave's going to bust out. He's got the same ProPhoto B1X. He's fitting it with the Shimera extra small shallow box. That's right. Shallow. That's how Daniel rolls.
Can they buy Dave?
You cannot buy Dave, but he can be rented. All right, so we're going to boom this guy. I'm going to get you a sandbag.
We may need that for the back light.
Oh, that's true.
Do you feel the need for model lights?
Okay, so, yeah, this one will be safe. If it falls on you, don't worry. It's soft. Come on now. Do I feel a need for modeling lights? Sometimes. So modeling light, guys, is basically, when you're setting up your light, if you want to kind of see where it's aiming better, there's something called a modeling light. So I'll turn it on this one so you guys can see. Dun, da, da, da. So we have this constant light source. We can see where the light's falling. It's going to help us aim it. Really good if you need to do more precise stuff with it. We don't usually use them during the demos because we're lazy, I guess. I don't know why we don't do that. Yeah, batteries die quicker. Yeah, we're using battery power. Now the thing is, your modeling lights, especially in this scenario, are not going to affect our shot. That's another thing to be wary of. If you have some brands, the modeling light, and you can shoot, I think you set these to do that, but I don't have them set that way, where the modeling light goes off when you take the photo. Because if you don't, and they're just running the whole time, then you have a hot light running while you're shooting, and if it affects your shot, it could affect it. So be wary of that. Don't buy Dave, be a Dave. I like that. That should be a T-shirt. Yeah, I may put that on my my merch site. So I'm starting a merch site, so if people want to give me cool slogans to put on there, I will steal them and give you no money for it.
Any suggestions if ProPhoto out of the price range?
Suggestions for light if ProPhoto is out of your price range? Use ProPhoto? No, there's a lot of great lighting companies. ProPhoto's not here, right? Hensel is good. The Elechrome is good. I like Dynalite. I know you don't. Dynalite, the stuff that's made in New Jersey is good. Don't buy their monolights that they put in for China. Sorry, Dynalite.
Say hi to Bergman.
Hey, David Bergman. You can buy Canon's flashes. That's David. You have to watch this video that David Bergman did, was it 2 weeks ago? Where he had all these Canon flashes. It was pretty awesome. So anyways, you can use small flash if you're on a smaller budget. There's a lot of good brands out there. Yeah. That's what I'd recommend. Flashpoint.
What about
Alien Bees, no. Here's the thing. Get what you can get what you can afford. Yes, buy Godox over Alien Bee, that's for sure. But buy Flashpoint, because that's basically the same thing. Yeah, it is Godox. Yeah, what I would say is, generally speaking, not to get too deep into this, you're usually paying for consistency and reliability in lights, so you want to get something that you can afford and work with what you got. You know, and eventually you may have to upgrade if the lights, you know, if your needs go beyond what the lights are. But there's lots of great brands. The Speedotron. You can buy old, you know, used Speedotrons and be a badass. They are awesome.
Set up there, but it's on-
This is Profoto.
Yeah, I know, but.
Those Speedotrons served me very well.
Little umbrella. The little
This is not an umbrella.
No umbrellas
soft
inside.
ones. I keep
Okay.
calling it an umbrella.
This is a softbox.
Yes, size, number.
Right. Don't worry. It's a Shimura extra small. Yeah, shallow. Super Pro Plus.
That's a good box.
It is a great box. It's creamy.
I'm a little jealous.
It's really nice. I recommend it. And by the way, Shimura, if you guys care, they are the people who invented the softbox. They're also in Colorado, and they literally make them there in Colorado in like their houses. So it's like pretty awesome. It's like they're like boom, like yeah, it's awesome. Like buy Shimura. What?
Rhodolite?
What's that?
How do you like Rhodolite?
Rhodolite, the LEDs. All right, they do a pretty good job. I'm not a huge LED person. I mean, I think I've made that pretty clear in my life. What? Yeah, they had that fake flash thing. It's not really a flash. I mean, you know, a lot of people had that. Light panels had that too, and then they realized that it was dumb, so they stopped doing it. The thing is that when an LED does this fake flash, all it does is make the LED brighter for a longer. It's like when your phone flashes, right? It's giving a long exposure of a flash. It doesn't stop action the way a flash does. So when something's saying it's a flash, to me, it needs to flash because you got flash duration. It's going to stop action. Yes. Interfit. They make that honey badger that's pretty decent. That you can get inside Alien Beast.
Can you do a quick run through of how to set up a C-stand?
Can I do a quick run through of how to set up a C-stand? Here we go. I don't have a sandbag because we only have one. All right. This is a C-stand. To set it up, you go like this. If you want to break it down,
Just do the, come on, just do it, please.
if you want to break it down. No, this is a C-stand. So, sorry, we get this a lot. So there's a couple different parts to it. You got the arm and grip head, right? Then you got the stand itself and the base, which is a turtle base. Not all of them are turtle base, but this one is. It's got 3 legs. You want to put the weight over the long leg, right? So if you're putting something over it, like a softbox, or we're booming stuff, you want to put the weight over the long leg, right? You also put, it's going to blow your mind, the sandbag on the long leg. There you go. Now C-stand is set up. For the arm, you want to make sure that the big knuckles, the big knobs, are to your right when you're standing behind it, like that. And then if you're going to boom it out, it'll have more support. If you don't do that, when you boom it out, it will drop. This way it's going to use pressure. This is a 650 pin. That's how you put a light on a C-stand. Don't put it on this end. Kids. There we go. Nice. We only have one sandbag, so don't pay attention to what we're doing. All right, so there's no sandbag on here, even though we should have one. All right, so right now we boomed out our Shimura extra small, Super Pro Plus, shallow, over her grill. We're going to meter it at f8. Why f8? Because that's what we're shooting at, right? F8. Boom. All right, so there we are. We got the one light set up. Everything else is off, right?
Yep. How do you feel about speed lights?
I love speed lights. Oh, lots of questions today. Uh-oh. Speed lights are great. And actually, if you're just starting in lighting, you probably, unless you absolutely know that you're going to be like a studio photographer, the first thing that you should buy is probably a speed light. Okay. Jim handed me this camera and didn't set it up with the way that you could actually see through it. So it's black until I press the buttons. That's why I'm having awkward. Okay, now we've got symmetrical lighting, right? See how that shapes her face. See how that already looks like the cover of a beauty magazine, right? Because this is how you light this kind of stuff. Now you're done. You need to buy this, you're done. Oh, and you need Lenny as well. All right, now, shadow is our friend here, right? The shadow is giving us the shape to her face. We can fill it in if we want, right? But we don't want to eliminate it 100% because if we do, it's going to make her face more rounded. unless that's what you want, right? So I'm going to use a reflector just to show you the difference. We'll use a Brooklyn reflector. Let's use silver to keep it more glamorous. We don't want that Staten Island one or whatever. All right. All right, nice and close. Okay, here we go. Oh, my hand's in it. Okay, here we go. Reflector's in the shot a little bit, but boom. Right. Only is really filling in underneath her nose, but not under her chin, which seems weird, right? Since she's got it there. Remember that silver is gonna, it's specular, right? So it's bouncing the light in a different way. So it's not giving it an even wash. That's why the chin is not as filled in. So it's actually kind of interesting, right? So what we actually want to do, if we wanted to use this, is we need to give it an angle. But I actually, and lower.
This is where the modeling light's coming in.
Yeah, this is where the modeling light is useful. She's fighting against me. She's a fighter. It's like I'm fishing. All right, let go for a second. I'll do it set style. You can let go. Drop your hands.
Hey, come on.
See, you can actually see. I don't know if they can see it on the camera.
You gotta get the yellow one on there.
Yeah. Right. I'm just filling in a little bit. There we go. But you see how that rounds her face out? So it depends on what you're going for, right? If we want a more youthful look, right, then having a rounded face really works for us. If we want that more kind of like powerful look, we want the shadow. I think I like power, right? So we're gonna go powerful because Lenny's powerful. There we go. So let's do that. Now, we want to do now a separation light still. We're gonna do a symmetrical separation line because we're doing symmetrical lighting. So now's where we're gonna use a sandbag because we're gonna take our strip bank and we're gonna drop it over the center and give her like a little, right? Again, we're just giving her separation from the background. Now, do you notice one thing about this that's different than the other shot? Let's take a quick look at something. Remember when we first started? I'm going to do the first frame with the other light. Well, we'll say with the reflector. This one.
Is a silver reflector the same as a board covered in foil?
Is a silver reflector the same as a board covered in foil? It depends on who's selling it.
Thoughts on white lightning?
White lightning is alien bees. Okay, so besides the fact that her face looks different, right, and everything kind of looks a little, what you see something else that's really obviously different? The background, right? In the first shot, we're using a 3-foot bank, and some of that light is ripping past her and hitting the background. Here, because this light is so close to her and because of the angle, nothing, right? The background is black, right? So now, you didn't even know you were coming to How to Make the Background Different Color seminar, and you got that for free. No charge for that part. Black background, right? Drama. Now, of course, if we want the background to be white or something, we would just light it, right? Simple as that. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Yes? What shutter speed? So when we first started, we set our camera up in a way that none of the light in the space would affect our shot. 250th of a second, f8, 100 ISO. The shutter speed you would need to use would usually be 250 because that's the sync speed. It's really the aperture that you want to think about to make sure that you have cut enough light out of the space. Yeah.
What's a good weight for a sandbag?
A good weight for sandbags is 25 pounds. That was a question. I don't like 35-pound sandbags because I am not very strong.
What size reflector do you recommend?
Okay. What size reflector do I recommend? The largest one that you can fit in the space. You can almost never have too big of a reflector. I mean, unless you're shooting like little products or something. Yeah, Seth made it in Brooklyn. Not just Brooklyn, it's Flatbush.
Here, but okay.
He made it in Manhattan. Believe it or not, it's cheaper to manufacture stuff in Manhattan than it is in Brooklyn these days with the, you know.
What's the difference between shooting with an octa or round versus the rectangular cell phones?
If you want to know the difference between shooting with the rectangular box and the octagon, you could go back to the very beginning of the video where I explained that.
That's a my answer. That's a my answer.
No, basically the octagon is going to, generally because of the way it's rounded, it's going to wrap around more. So I like it when I'm doing light that I need to wrap around. I don't want to use it here because I don't want the light all over the place, although I could use a little tiny octagon if I wanted to. Also, there's the whole catch light thing that people get into, but I don't care about catch lights. Do I need a tripod? Absolutely. Tripod is key. Why is tripod key? For repetition. If you're working commercially, you're going to want to repeat things, right? You want to be able to consistently repeat the same shot. One more thing to worry about is having to reframe everything up again if you don't have a tripod. Do I always use a tripod? No, of course not. But you need to have one, yeah. And buy a good one. This strip is 1 foot by 3 foot. Yeah, listen, like I give a lot of stuff and I say buy whatever you can, whatever. Invest in a good tripod. You can literally have a tripod your entire career if you buy a good tripod. This is not that great. This is an okay tripod. I mean, no, I'm gonna say this is not even super expensive. This is the 055 Manfrotto. This isn't even like their best tripod, but this is a good tripod. It's like maybe a couple $100. The head though is like about $300.
That head is
Yeah,
amazing.
that head is awesome. This is a hydrostatic head. I recommend this highly if you like ball heads. Yeah. You want 2 heads. We should do a whole thing on tripods, but you want to get something like this, like a 055, which is like a good standard tripod, and get yourself a nice ball head, and then a nice 3-way head or a geared head.
Is it wrong to mix strobe and speed light?
What's up?
Mixing strobes and
Mixed strobe with speed lights. If you have good speed lights and good strobes, you should be able to do that, no problem. Yeah, I mean, in theory.
this is getting crazy.
I mean, some speed lights can be a little blue. It really depends on what you got, but usually if it's close.
They're calling Dave the lighting stagehand guy.
Such a very patient.
I mean, if you had the mic, you could answer the questions I was setting up for. All right, so Dave's got that all set. Because I have a very large nose, the focus point keeps changing, but it's okay. All right, and there we go. Wow, that's why they call him Dave the Hair Light Brusca. It's almost not there, it's so good. You guys don't even think there's a hair light there. I can't click on this picture twice. I have an inability to do that. There we go. I'll get rid of the reflector because we don't have a reflector on that one. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but man, that's clean. Look at that. Actually, I like the chin down tilted. That was kind of nice, the first thing you did. You look good with your chin down. But keep your chin up, kid, but you look good with your chin down. All right. Well, you know, it comes down to shape of face, right? She has this kind of like, this beautiful like jaw, what do you call it? The cheek line right here coming down, so you get that. You want to emphasize that. All right, ready? Power-wise or height? Okay, let me look. By the way, I'm intentionally cutting off the top of her head because people always complain that I cut off the top of people's heads. So guess what? Too bad.
It's like a little bit more in it.
In it to win it. I'm going to change the focus point. There it is. With my nose. I blame my father, who also has a big nose. I could not see through the camera. Oh, but it's a better shot than before. So that's good. When I'm not looking through the camera, we get a better photo.
Light meter recommendation.
Light meter recommendation. If you just need a basic light meter, I like the Sekonic 308 XU. If you want a fancy one, then you can go up from there. This is pretty good. I feel like for some reason she seems darker now. Oh, there we go.
Did you have the reflector in it? Oh, right.
Well, no, I mean just her overall skin tone. I might maybe give the key light like a 10th or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, just as big. Well, what's funny is she's still exposed the same, but now we have this like rim going around her, so it changes the way your eye sees the shot, right? Exposure is, you know, the math, but then it comes down to what's right for you, what looks right, right? And that we want to give. I want to give her a touch more exposure. Yes.
The reflectors come in different colors, white, silver.
Reflectors come in different colors. That's correct. White, silver, gold, maroon,
So you recommend
chartreuse.
specific skin tone?
Oh, I'm going to get in trouble, but I'm going to say it. I don't usually use gold reflectors, but I know some people like them. Oh, look at you. Oh, I went on manual focus too. That's what I did. I knew I did something funny there. There we go. Oh, hold on, sorry. That was, it was still good. Man, you're good. Yeah, it's out of focus because I switched it. I was pressing buttons when I shouldn't have.
Would you recommend this lighting
There we
setup for products or just people?
Do I recommend this lighting setup for product? No. This is a portrait setup. This equipment is fine for product, but you wouldn't set it up like this, not at all. You know, we might do a product one. Sometimes people ask about that. I kind of like this. She's got the little, now I think she needs some color. Should we warm up her hair a little bit? No? No, nobody's enthusiastic about the warm hair. Not a single, you're like, no, we're okay, thanks. You can go home now, kid. All right. Yeah, let's. I don't even think we need a third light. We want to use an extra light right now, right? Because you get paid more, right? So we need to figure out how to use our third light.
Can you just go really quickly, shape of face versus the light?
Yeah, we'll talk about the shape of her face and everything, and then we'll start the pic. So, all right. So I'm lighting her now in a symmetrical pattern, meaning the light is centered on her, right? Which, remember what I said earlier when somebody asked about why weren't the shadows in the background? Shadow is going to be the opposite direction of your light, right? So if my light's in the center going down, my shadows are now under her nose, under her chin, also under her cheeks, right? It's creating a more narrow shape to the face. I am using a small-ish light source, right? 16 by 22. I'm not using a gigantic one because I want to tighten up those shadows and keep them. You could use an even tighter one if you wanted. You could put a grid on there, whatever you got. This is going to help shape the face and make it more narrow. If we start filling that in with light, it's going to make the face seem wider. Wider generally has more of a youthful feel. Narrower, tighter is more powerful. So it kind of depends on what you're going for, you know. But Lenny is powerful. She's like, I'm powerful. All right, cool. You should do like one eyebrow up, I can't do it. Yeah, that. Okay, we have to do that. The classic one eyebrow up look. Come on. Good. There we go. She's like, what? There you go. Right? She's like, what? All right. Now, where are we gonna put the last light? Should we throw a light on the background? I think we got this one. We got it. We're not going to do it. I mean, I want to throw that extra light in. Maybe you could just put it there because the client doesn't really know. Actually, that's what the modeling light is good for. Turn off the slave so it doesn't fire. Just put the modeling light on. They'll think that it's on. You'll get paid. We'll be done. All right, good. Now, let's do something a little bit more like dark and mysterious. I want to do like kind of like lit from the back, shadowy, like we do. Like a strip on the back and make that the key. Shadow to the front. Yeah. Not for Halloween.
It's not Halloween. Do not mock.
All right, first of all, I don't do Halloween stuff. Is that Thundercats? Oh, yeah. Oh, yep, okay. Yes. All right, so that's pretty nice, right? I think and look, I also have managed to not put the thing on her face every time, or have you been moving it?
I'm totally moving it. So is Paul, by the way.
Yes, I'm sorry, guys. I can't. There's literally a person here just to move that thing from her face because I can't help myself. All right, so we're going to come from the back and we're going to give her like some shape. We're going to create almost a silhouette-y kind of feel for a little bit of mood. I like these kind of shots for, kind of a more kind of artsy portrait. Yep. Come on. Okay. We might even go vertical. Nah. I thought about it for a second, but I changed my mind.
Now that you mentioned Halloween, can you tell them I'm doing IG live on Halloween?
Oh, if you guys want to know how to properly shoot stuff that's like kind of moody and scary for like a Halloween type thing, go onto Adorama's Instagram on Monday at 3. Seth is doing a demo, and Seth is the master of these things. If anybody is good at that, it's Seth. I am not. I'll tell you right now. I mean, I'm all right. I'm good enough for a Milky Way.
You're not sponsored. Don't do that.
Oh yeah, I'm not sponsored by Milky Way. What was it? Come on.
You got to get the sponsor. Then you mentioned just called chocolate.
Sunak doesn't even give me free coffee.
Yeah, they really don't.
All right.
And how about if you use one side of the face blue or something like that?
One side of the face blue. We can do that. What do you mean, like Braveheart?
They're just asking for colored light, pretty much.
Yeah, people love colored light. By the way, you want to sell more pictures, man, throw some gels on there. It's the cheapest thing to do. Get yourself some gels. People love that stuff. It's like, oh my God, the light's colorful. Yeah, let's just kill that for a second. Thanks, Dave.
$30.
Yeah, spend $30, throw some. All right, so we're going to take this to the next level, or it's going to go, and the next level might be down. I'm not going to say it's going to be better. We're going to definitely take it to the next level. Actually, first let's do the 1, 2, 3 strip thing to show like that, what that does. I'll do that while you're setting that up. All right, I'll do it this way so it's out of Dave's way. All right, so do a profile towards the light, please, Lenny. Yeah. So when you're using, one reason to use a strip softbox, strip being skinny, not like take your clothes off. So one reason to use this is because you've got more control, right? It's still long, so it's still soft, but it doesn't spread as far to the side. So if we're doing something like a nice profile shot, we can use this, and I'm putting it dead centered on her nose right now. And we're going to show you I'm going to show you.
F8.
F8, look at that, and be there. All right, so I am going to ask Jim to set this camera up correctly next time. All right, so just look right at the light. Bring your chin up a little bit. Perfecto. That's Spanish. There we go. All right. So we can see we have nice, even light across her face. It's kind of pretty, like a window. We can see her cheekbones look nice. That's centered, right? But we can also just take our light and move it back here, right? You can turn your modeling light on to make sure it's going where you want it to go. Okay. And again, I haven't moved the light from any distance from her, so I'm not remetering it because I know that right now, right, we're almost all shadow, right? We got it all. You kind of look like Angelina Jolie there. Doesn't she? Oh, man. I have to learn how to do that. No, you're right. Nope, that's not the right one. Someday I will learn how to use focus. I say this every time. All right, so, and we can also move it at no extra charge to this side. So you're still looking straight ahead. Okay, good. Sorry. There we go. All right, now we do this. Now we're filled in over there, right? So now we've got, right? You've got, so we've got a shadow. Can I show all three of them? I bet you I can. No, apparently I can't. I'm sure you can do it, I just have no idea how. Someday I will learn how to use this. I'm the least technical person in the world, you would think. How have I gotten this far? Okay, so standard, centered, a little bit of shadow creating the cheekbones, right? Really, really serious shadow, right? Also notice even the skin tone looks different, right? Because the angle, right? The angle of the light reflecting back off of her from the end is actually cooling the light down a little bit, right? It even changes the skin tone a bit. And then more light to the front is giving us a more even light across her whole face. So we can basically have 3 different shots, and you can charge for each of those right there. 1, 2, 3. That took a second, right? And we're done. But let's go a little bit more. So I think I'm going to lean in this direction.
All right.
And then let's maybe do, should we do a backlight? See, I like that with one light, but
Just a reflector. Just let it
maybe,
kiss in.
oh, a little reflector. All right, so that's saying a reflector. Let's do a reflector. Yeah, a Brooklyn reflector at that. I think you have to come at an angle, no? Yeah, there you go. All right, let's see what that does. Little reflector, let's see what we get. Just a little bit.
Tried to go too much.
Just, oh, I changed the thing looking with my nose. You have to not touch it with your nose if you have a big nose. Oh.
Did you crop around?
Did you move? Always blame the model. This is what you learn right there. Clearly, I didn't move. I'm on a tripod, right? Right. We've literally gotten the entire demo without the camera, so I can see through it. So I'm not going to bother now.
You can't see at all.
Not until you press the button to focus. Yeah, it's like literally black, because it's showing the exposure in the room. All right, so there we go.
Yeah, just a little break up there.
Little break up. I kind of want to throw a little light on the back of her head. What if we kiss her with a little bit of light right here, like just like a little color?
Edge?
Yeah, just like it's like an edge of light, because she has nice blonde hair. It's going to kind of absorb the color in. Let's make it purple. No, let's make it red. I like a redhead. I could do a red, I think. No, it's not going to look like that. It'll look like fire.
Can you just go over the fact that the foam core isn't something they buy here? It's
Oh yes, the foam core,
that they can get
the Brooklyn reflector. So this is foam core. I'll explain this while Dave's setting this up. You haven't done an IGTV about this, so I can just like point it. Okay. So
Are you just gonna bash me right
if you go, you can buy, and you should buy because Adorama needs money. Those pop-up reflectors you guys have already seen. You can buy all kinds of different reflectors, right? But in studio, I generally just use foam board. You can get this at an arts and crafts store. You can get it at drugstores. You can get, people, if you do school projects, if you did your homework, you put it on this. Seth has added the extra feature of the aluminum foil.
I got black too.
And you can get black. So anything that's anything really will reflect, right? If it's white, it's going to reflect more. Silver will reflect more, but specular. If it's, I won't do your thing, but if it was purple or something, it would reflect purple. So this is a cheap thing to buy, and you can do this if you have no budget at all for anything, but you have a window and you've got $5, you can buy this thing, or Seth will make you one for $300, and you can fill in the light with it, right? Gives you some ability to shape light. You take this outside, you can hold it under people, over people. You could, do this with it. You can write stuff on it. Will work for photos, But this is basically the reflector. We don't sell this at Adorama, so you would need to get that at a drugstore.
What is the name of the?
Foam core. What is the name of the tripod? The C stand?
You put it on this one earlier.
Those are C stands.
Oh, they're both decent.
Yes, there are two different kinds of C stands. One is a smaller C stand, 20-inch C stand in black, and the other one is a 40-inch C stand in chrome. And you can get the undercoating for a little extra. Other questions? Do they even do undercoating anymore?
Like I bought a car.
I don't know when you bought a car.
You don't to ask. You bought a Mini.
That's right. No, they don't add that stuff to a Mini. That's like they add that to like Fords.
They're asking if it's really aluminum foil. Yes.
It is really aluminum foil, yes. Although, I've made them you can buy
Silver.
you can buy silver card that's sticky on the back. And I put it on there. I've done that too. That also works. It's a little more expensive.
Silver vinyl too.
Yeah, and silver vinyl. You can do all kinds of stuff. But get creative, kids. And actually, you can crinkle up the tin foil and put it on there.
Oh, that's crazy.
I know.
Stop it. Stop
The
it.
things that you can do. And actually, if you really want actual photo stuff, because you're like that, Roscoe makes gels that are reflective.
Actually, I think I got
And they even have a crinkly one. So you can get all those things. And again, why would you buy the gel when I just told you can do it with the aluminum foil that you also can make a corn on the cob with? Consistency, right? The reason why we buy pro stuff isn't necessarily because the DIY stuff can't do something, but it's like if I buy that Roscoe gel, it's always going to be the same if I get one somewhere else or whatever. This might not be, whether he buys Reynolds Wrap or he gets the stuff at the dollar store,
One, they
Yeah.
have a dull silver. So
Yeah,
it's
there's
different.
different types. So that's why you buy professional stuff, yes.
You may have covered that, hopefully you didn't cover
Oh.
this earlier, but is there a difference between crinkly foil and?
I never covered that in my life, but no, yes. Yeah, we're going sidetracked because I'm just waiting for Dave to be done. You ready? So if you were to crinkle the foil, but think about it. Okay, so the thing is, we approach photography, and it seems like this big mystery, right? But oftentimes if you just kind of think about it logically, you'll have your answer, right? So what's the difference between having a flat silver reflector or one that's crinkly? The crinkly one is going to send light in a lot of different directions and not be as even, right? It's going to be different.
So they're asking about, does the environment color matter, like a white studio versus an all black studio?
Yeah, the environment color matters if your lights are hitting the environment. If I'm in a studio and all my walls are purple, but none of my strobe hits and bounces there and bounces back on my subject, it won't make a difference. But if it does, then it will. Here we go.
Oh, can you explain what you just did?
Ho-ho! I wasn't sure until I took a picture. All right, so Dave added a red. Oh, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted. Perfect. Right? So Dave added a red gel to the back, and he metered it out at on exposure, f8. Yeah, and that's on exposure at f8. Remember, I said this in the beginning, when you're metering and getting anything set, then you need to tweak them to your eye, right? So that's actually on exposure, but it looks like it's probably a little blown out, but I actually kind of like it.
I tried dropping now.
All right, he dropped the power a smidge. Let's see what it looks like. Dropping the power will add saturation and also make it so it's not, here we go. Oh, you're totally moving. All right, hold on. I'll move the camera. Actually, I'll just move you. Move forward, just like lean towards. No, okay, that's fine. You can do that. Oh, I didn't know you had an earring. See, we're learning stuff. All right, now you put her in the center. Oh, interesting. Bring your chin up, though, because now it looks like your face is weird. Weird face. All right, there we go.
Are you always this demanding on models?
I'm always demanding on everything. I'm the most demanding person ever. Okay, here we go. But actually, go like this, like a chicken. There you go. See, I do that, but I have no chin, so nobody knows what I'm talking about. There we go. All right. All right, so I just had to project her chin forward to get a better shape here. You can see that when the face is kind of just, well, she's laughing there, but even here, you see how the face is more like it's kind of going down. You know, I wanted more power, so I basically stick it out like that, little chicken neck. Or turtle, however you want to do it. Turkey. Many things stick their neck out. Ooh, eyeball. Okay. Questions, thoughts, concerns? Yes.
Earlier we were talking about height of the light versus the subject.
Uh-huh.
Numeric to the distance between the light and the subject. If the light moving further back, that have an effect.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so the distance of the light to the subject, like how does that affect it basically overall? So I'll start off by saying how soft a light is. So softness and hardness, which is I really didn't start talking about, we just started working. Softness and hardness, when you may have heard people use those terms before, has to do with the shadow transition. A hard light has a very abrupt shadow transition. A soft light has a smooth shadow transition, right? So this is the soft light that's lighting her, and we can see that highlight to shadow, right? It's very nice and smooth. A hard light would have just been like boom, right? Edge, which can be good for some stuff. The reason why I bring that up, because you're like, huh, that doesn't have anything to do with what I just said. What creates hard or soft light is the size of your light source relative to your subject. A smaller light source is harder, a larger light source is softer. So if I take a light and I move it closer to my subject, it becomes larger, right? Which is going to make it softer. If I back it up, it's going to make it harder, right? Because it's smaller. Now, it's not that simple though. There's something called the inverse square law, which doesn't really matter what the math is. The idea is that the closer the light is to something, the faster it falls off. So if I go really close to her with my light, which I have, that's why her cheeks are going into shadow right away. If I move this light back to here and I shot her, the same exposure, her whole head would be evenly lit, but the light would be harder. So you've got to figure out the balance that you want, right? So typically if you wanted this soft light but you wanted to get more coverage, you would back this up and use a bigger modifier, right? But again, you wouldn't have the fall off. So this is where it confuses people sometimes, because I've definitely heard people look at this and go, yeah, but that's a hard light. Look at the shadow on it. No, having shadow doesn't make the light hard. It's the transition to shadow that makes it hard. In fact, if you put a speed light on your camera and I put her against the wall and I shot her from back here with it, she'd have almost no shadow on her, right? So she'd look, the light's hard though, I'll tell you right now, it's a hard light. She could have it on the background. Because the fact of the matter is, because it's further back, it's spreading out, it's getting more coverage. So moving the light further and closer is going to affect that. And that's one reason why it's important, if you're trying to go for certain looks, to have different size modifiers. And also different, being able to control the power of your light. What is the wattage of the light? This is a 500 watt second light. It is the Profoto B1X. And it is currently at 5.8, which doesn't really mean anything to you, but it doesn't matter, you can still say that. Well, it's at 5.8. Okay. Questions? B1X, Profoto B1X. Other questions? Questions online? All right, so this one is kind of my, so we're just gonna do a quick revamp so people will actually know that I actually did what I said I was supposed to do. And we'll find out if I didn't, and I can quickly recover. So we started off with the two lighting scenarios that are kind of like the most often used. I would say that as a photographer, making photos, portraits, which this is about, you're almost always going to use one of these two. You've got asymmetrical lighting, which is lighting that is, thank you, lighting that is coming, from one side, creating shadow. It's brighter on one side, darker on the other. The light, is not completely even. It adds shape and texture, right? Or symmetrical lighting, which I guess the last one is here, which is light that is even left to right. So her face is evenly lit, right? You still have shadow, right? But it's going to give you an even spread. This kind of light is generally more of a beauty kind of light. It's going to be a little bit more forgiving. It's going to kind of have that nice even look. It's usually my go-to light for female subjects, whereas I would use asymmetrical light on men, because generally when you're shooting men, having shadow on the face is a preferred thing. It's not always, but it's generally preferred, right? It so happens that Lenny has a great face, so like she looks good in all this, but you know, she even looked good in the really crazy light. Like I wouldn't normally light a female subject like this unless it was something very specific. But you know, with the right subject.
Along with that hard light thing, can you explain how the sun, while it's large, is still a hard light?
Right. So the sun, I will explain that in a second. Let me finish. So the third thing that we did is kind of this like profile light is something I do a lot. This is the like extra little cherry on the cake. Put cherry on cake. No, cherry on ice cream. When do you put cherries? Pie?
Sunday.
Sunday, right? It's like you're putting the cherry on the sundae. This generally looks pretty cool on most people, and it's different than your standard kind of shot. And it's something you can do almost anywhere. Because remember I showed by moving the strip box back and forth, and also you notice the background is black, right? In any environment that I can remove the light, even if there was even if the store was behind her, if I had enough power and I could get rid of the light, you could create this shot. And it's really impressive to people that don't understand lighting and stuff, so it's cool for like shooting somebody, just add a little extra in the first shot. And this red is just, again, more cherries, because we like cherries. You know, but even the initial shot, any of these really, like that, or that, right? This is more like a cosmetic-y beauty shot. This is like she's an actor and it's on her website, boom, boom, boom. You know, and then this one here is kind of somewhere in the middle, right? So you've got all that mix. So with those three like lighting patterns and lighting techniques in your bag of tricks, you should be able to get a decent shot of just about anybody, right? So there was a question about the sun, which is good. So the sun is a hard light source, right? Why is the sun a hard light source? Scientists say, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, that the sun is huge. However, it's quite far away. 586 million miles away. So, I don't know how far away it is. So you can put your hand up and block the sun, right? So to you, the sun is small. Size relative to your subject is key. If I took a small flash, like a camera flash, and I shot, you know, Seth's El Camino,
Hey.
I know, you don't have any more. It would be a hard light and it would look terrible. But if I took a little Matchbox car El Camino and I put that flash right on top of it, it would be a soft light. Because to that Matchbox car, that light is huge. Right? That makes sense?
So, do you ever use clamshell lighting?
Do I use clamshell lighting? Yes. I like clamps, muscles as well.
How would you put a beauty dish in this equation?
How would I put a beauty dish? I normally use a beauty dish in the asymmetrical lighting. No, I'm sorry, in the symmetrical lighting. So I would basically do this one with the beauty dish. In fact, we did it 2 sessions ago, right? This would be a beauty dish. I like a softbox for this if you're going to be shooting a wide range of people, and that's why I chose a softbox versus a beauty dish, because it's, you know, a beauty dish is kind of specific. So yeah, I would go softbox. If you want generic beauty dish, you would put it the same way, exactly the same. But as far as clamshell, just so people know, because I was being a wise guy, clamshell basically means using this lighting pattern that we're using here, but having a light from below as well to fill in instead of a reflector card. It allows for more even lighting. It's good if you want kind of flat light, which is useful.
What's a good size softbox to start out with?
What is a good size softbox to start out with? 2 foot by 3 foot. If you are only buying one softbox, buy a 2 foot by 3 foot softbox. That is the standard size. It is the Shimura small. It is a Photoflux medium. It is a.
Would a screen give you a bigger light?
Would a scrim give me a bigger light? If the scrim was bigger than the light that I had, it would. Like a scrim gym? Yeah. So if you're talking about the sun, and that's probably what we're talking about, if you put a 6 foot silk between the subject and the sun, well then the 6 foot silk becomes your light source. So then, yeah, that's going to be a soft light, right? Put somebody in the shade, the tree becomes a light source, right? Clouds become a light source. You know, these are all things. Think about that, right? The sun is basically just a very small hard light that you can manipulate and do a lot of stuff with, and it's one of the best ways to shoot if you can. The reason to use flash is control, but the sun is great. So if you have no lighting, you get yourself a Brooklyn reflector, you're good to go. How do I feel about ring lights?
It's a long one, man.
They are very specific. It is not the first thing I would buy.
Did you just buy one? Did you just buy
I did just buy a very inexpensive, and I will use the word, I'm not allowed to say cheap or crappy, so I won't say that, but I bought a very inexpensive ring light that is LED, and it's pretty terrible. I bought it to videotape myself talking, and I look completely white because the color is terrible. But you know, it is what it is. Ring lights are good for some stuff, it's just even.
What do you recommend for family portraits?
What do I recommend for family portraits? I mean, it could be anything, a family.
Other than that.
If you're just but seriously, like, I often go into more advanced lighting stuff, so you're jumping right in on it, which is good for you. If you're just starting and you have nothing, I would buy an umbrella. An umbrella is going to help you learn lighting. It's very simple, it's very inexpensive. You can use it to make soft light, you can use it to cover large areas, and if it rains, you're good to go. Yeah. Umbrellas are cheap, even expensive ones, meaning that they break and they don't last forever, but they're a good way to start. Get yourself an umbrella, get yourself a small flash, whatever it might be, whether it's your Alien Bee or it's a flash point out there or it's a Pro Photo. Get started, start shooting. When you can't do something, that's when you need more stuff, right? Don't just buy a bunch of stuff to buy it, because somebody said a beauty dish was good to have. Yes?
Would you recommend using two umbrellas, like say for a large group, on both sides, or a larger umbrella centered?
Okay, if I was shooting a large group, would I use two umbrellas, one on either side, or a large one in the center? I probably would use two on either side. But if you're going to do that, you don't want to take this umbrella and light these people, and this umbrella and light those people. You want to go like this, so that the light crosses. That'll be even more even than putting it in the center. Yeah, two umbrellas is always better. Other questions before we go off the stream? Oh, so make sure if you don't follow me already on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel, so please do. Daniel Norton Photographer. Make sure you check out Seth on Monday on Adorama's Instagram. And he'll also be here live at 5 p.m. That's not being streamed, sorry internet. So if you are local to New York, come in and see Seth. He's awesome. What are you doing?
Studio lighting, quick start guide.
Oh, studio lighting, quick start guide. He's probably gonna, this is for you. You need to come to that, yeah. Monday at 5 p.m., studio lighting, quick start. Even if you already know stuff, come see, because Seth is amazing. And I'm not just saying that because he just gave me $5. So thanks, guys.
Are you out?
Yeah, I'm out.
Well, don't
Thanks, Len.